There is a rumor going around that you're going to be in the new Jackass film. Can you confirm or deny said rumor?
I can neither confirm nor deny, but that's exciting that that's out there.
Hello, Eric Andre, and happy birthday for 10 days ago. How did you celebrate your second lockdown birthday?
It was kind of not as wild as the birthdays of my yesteryear, but, the usual, just ton of drinking.
That trip's finally out. How long had the whole idea been in the works? Like, this is obviously, I think the film took about 3 years to film. It was supposed to come out last year. When did you have the first seed of an idea for it? Is it like a decade ago?
Yes, 7.5 years ago. October of 2013 is when we started thinking about it.
Logistically, how does a feature-length prank show work? Like, how many times did you have to shoot each scene? Did you have to wait for the right date? How complex is it to mix?
Yeah, it was very tedious. Sometimes you only get one chance to do it. When we could, we'd try to do each prank like 2 or 3 times. It would depend on the prank.
Who did you piss off the most while filming? And how did they kind of show that? And did that clip make it into the final film?
Yes, both. This one guy, there's a scene where Rel's character, my character, like put our penises in a Chinese finger trap, and we went to this really like hood barbershop, and the guy there was very upset and pulled out a knife, and he chased us out of there with a knife. But then he was okay with it, and you're like, guys, it's just a joke, and he was happy to... He was actually oddly cool when we revealed. We were like, it's a prank. He was like, oh, y'all are hilarious. And he's like, you shouldn't do that shit around here, though.
How many people generally refuse to sign the waivers? Are there some amazing moments that didn't make it into the final cut because some people just wouldn't agree to...
We did really well, way better than my Adult Swim show. I think we did a hell of a job of... We had it's an art of seduction, and we had it down to a science, getting those release forms. So I was really pleased with how many releases we got signed. There's only a few. You see some blurs in the movie. There's only a few people that didn't sign, and they weren't even like the biggest parts of the show, kind of the stars of the show, as far as, real civilians, like all signed.
And the film's done so well. It's #1 globally on Netflix. But are you a little bit upset that it won't get played in cinemas, so you don't get that big communal experience?
Oh, God, I was devastated. I mean, we were originally going to play at South by Southwest. We were going to premiere, which is the best venue best festival venue for this kind of movie. And then, like 5 days before I was about to fly to Austin, Texas to do the premiere, Corona started. So yeah, devastated to this day. I'm hoping that potentially over the summer, when things are completely open, I think they're saying nationally, June 15th, everything opens up 100% capacity, indoor, outdoor. Maybe we could do like a summer screening. Even if it's outdoor, we could do a summer screening, because I think the movie is even more thoroughly enjoyed in a frenzied group of, millennial maniacs.
Had you had some kind of test screenings back in the day before Corona?
We tested the movie a few times. We tested like rough versions of the movie, and those tests were very helpful actually in our process to see what was working, what wasn't working, what wasn't translating. So well, I did actually have that experience in the earlier days, but not in like the final product in like a festival setting, which is, would have been the big fucking kit and caboodle.
It'll happen, I'm sure. I hear there's a failed attempt at a Chris Rock cameo in the film, but were there any other well-known names that you reached out to for possible cameos? Was there a long...
No, well, the thing was, you can't have the rules of this genre, this hidden camera genre, is that you can't introduce that many actors on screen. The majority of people on screen have to be unsuspecting victims, and it's for a very good reason, and we learned it early on from Jeff Tremaine, which is the more actors you introduce, the more ambiguous and unclear it is who is in on it, who's being pranked, and who's not being pranked. So he's like, you really have to keep the cast to a minimum. And then when the prank failed so utterly with Chris Rock, no fault of Chris's, more of fault of like his fame, and not, it's very, very, at his level, very, very hard to, like, everybody know. He's like the Michael Jordan of comedy. So the guy recognized him right away. I mean, we like Rel and I were already acting suspicious, and then the guy recognized Chris Rock immediately just based off his voice.
Okay.
And then that was kind of it, you know. It was just one of those. So we definitely, after the Chris Rock experiment, we weren't looking to get any more well-known celebrities. I mean, we were barely getting away with Tiffany Haddish being in the movie, and that's why she was so heavily disguised and behaving like she doesn't behave in any other of her movies. So, yeah.
A lot of people have spoken about how kind of surprisingly tender and heartwarming the film is. Was that always the idea from the start, for it to be crude yet sweet, or did this kind of just naturally happen like that?
Yeah, that was a process. It was definitely way more crude in the beginning, in the early stages of the creative process. So we realized that pure crude, hard R, gross out will not drag an audience across 90 minutes of footage. You really have to win people back after a gross out prank. You know what I mean? Our term is R-rated, G-rated, R-rated, G-rated. So anytime you have an R-rated prank, anytime you had like a gorilla scene, you had to have like a musical right after, or just like a balance of like a sweet, good-natured, because the musical scene is very, very G-rated, whereas the gorilla scene is not. So you have to have that balance, or you're going to lose the audience.
Talking of the gorilla scene, what was the casting process like for the role of the person in the horny gorilla suit?
That guy was a expert. Our special effects team cast that guy. I think he does Cirque du Soleil kind of work and stunt work and marionette work and puppeteering work. That's like a very specific skill set. So we hired, I don't think we hired him. I think our special effects team, through their connections, hired somebody who knew how to. It was brutally hot, and we shot that in rural Georgia in the middle of the summer. So, being in that suit, I really felt bad for him. And he had to wait 20 minutes in the suit just for us and the marks to land in the kill zone, as we call it. That's our inside lingo. The kill zone is where we're filming. So that guy was an expert. He was a pro.
Okay. Oh, I believed every second of that passionate moment. The final scene involves a DMX track. So I want to talk a little bit about DMX. How much did he mean to you? Why is he so important to you and to kind of modern American music and to hip hop? What is DMX?
I mean, I've been listening to DMX for 20 years. And, when we chose that, we locked editing the movie 2019. So there was no way. It was just pure coincidence that he just recently passed away. There was no mastermind. We didn't know he was on his deathbed when we selected that track. He was kind of one of those artists that was born to rap. If he had not rapped in a parallel existence, if he became either a brain surgeon or a plumber, whatever vocation, it would have been a tragedy, because his voice and his attitude, it's almost like he rapped when he talked, and he just was born a star. I feel like there was no warming up. He was just when those first singles started coming out, it was they were just hits right off the bat. So it was a tragedy. It was, he had a tortured existence, and he's at peace now, but it's very sad. I just saw a video of him with his daughter on this ride called the Slingshot that they have at carnivals that kind of slings you up and down. And he's very sweet and protective of his daughter. And I know I'm buddies with Chris Rock, and he worked with Chris on a movie Chris did called Top 5, and he had nothing but nice things to say about him. So yeah, it was a tragedy. But yeah, it was pure coincidence that we selected that track. I mean, we finished editing the movie April of 2019. So.
Did you ever cross paths with DMX in real life? Did you ever?
No, I wish.
Ever try and get him on the Eric Andre show? Seems like it might have been a good match.
That might have been. He's a little bit elusive. He was a little bit elusive. He was hard to track down.
And talking of the Eric Andre show, is season 6 going to happen? Are there any early plans? Are you thinking about it, or are you going to take a little break now?
I am thinking about it. I'm not sure what I'm allowed to say. I probably can't announce it yet. But when I first started the show, season 1, I was I'm just going to do 5 seasons of this thing. 5 seasons feels good. And then as I was finishing editing season 5, I was this is a show where I have complete and utter creative freedom. I have carte blanche to do whatever I want and just express my pure, unfiltered id. And what other medium or what other show, what other project will I have this power over this sandbox? So I just figured, like, why not keep the show going? I also saw Larry David, Curb Your Enthusiasm going to season 10 or whatever, and Always Sunny in Philadelphia going to season 13. So it didn't make sense to, and they let us take so much time off between seasons that it didn't make sense to close the door all the way, and I want to continue doing the show.
And there's some great guests on the last season. Is there anyone you'd love to get on if there's a next season? Who would be the dream guest? I mean, even if it's just as an excuse so you can meet this person, get them on the show.
Ghislaine Maxwell. No, I
don't know. Good shout.
Geez, I don't know. That's a commonly asked question, and I never have a good answer. I used to say Maya Angelou, and she passed away. God, O.J. Simpson. That'd be quite the doozy, huh?
I'd watch it.
That'd be the talk of the town if we can.
Indeed, might even go viral with that. Talking of hip hop, another hip hop legend to leave us recently was MF Doom. I know you're a big fan. Again, what did MF Doom mean to you? Is that someone you've been into for ages? How did you find out about him? Because it's quite underground for a long time.
Oh yeah, I was fortunate enough to be able to meet him. I met him, I think, when I was 19, 20 years old. He played at my friend Christina's college spring break show, SUNY Purchase, which is in New York. It's in, Westchester, New York. Mm-hmm. And he was very nice. I've never heard a bad thing about the guy. I love his work. I love his collaboration with Madlib. He always had good taste in beats. A buddy of mine said he is what rap should be. He's like, rap isn't macho and aggressive. It shouldn't be run by jocks. He's like, rap is very mellow. It should be relaxing. Mm-hmm. And simple. And rapping, this wordplay is just like, it's kind of just like fun with rhyming and fun with like the poetry and flow of rhyming and the musicality of that. Mm-hmm. And I think MF Doom captured that spirit, and he had such a unique voice and a unique point of view. And I rarely cry when a celebrity dies. He's one of the few celebrities that brought tears to my eyes when I found out he passed away.
Oh man, do you remember what you chatted about when you met him when you were a teenager?
I ran up to him. I ran backstage, and I got to see him without his mask on, which is very cool. And his like entourage was like, oh, but he was very nice. He's like, no, it's okay. And I was like, hey, I'm finishing college. I want to intern at Stone's Throw Records. How can I do that? And he gave me somebody's email that worked at Stone's Throw. He's like, oh, email whoever, Philip. So that's Philip at stonesthrow.com. Email him. He hires interns and da. He was very patient with me and very just like grounded and sincere. And for me at like 20, 21 years old, seeing a hero of mine telling me like, yeah, just email the people at work. He seemed like salt of the earth.
So did you email Stone's Throw? Did you get a job at Stone's
I probably did from my Hotmail account in 2001 or whatever that year was, 2003. But and it's ironic now, and now I work on and off with Peanut Butter Wolf, and I'm at Stone's Throw all the time. I'm now good friends with those guys, and I always tell them that story.
I know you're into your music. Last year you did stuff with horror, and you're kind of into your music. You love Stone's Throw, but do you have any musical recommendations for us now? Like, what's been getting you through the year of trauma that we've all been through?
I just got this song by this rapper called Xavier Wolf, where I think he samples Vanessa Carlton, I want to say. I hope I'm getting the sample name right, which is incredible. I also, I was just talking to Donald Glover about the Aretha Franklin live concert, the church concert that they filmed, 20 years ago, 1972 or whatever. That footage that resurfaced that they lost. That and you can listen to the whole just the audio from it. And I've been listening to that a lot. It's just like haunting and incredible. And Aretha Franklin was truly one of the greatest singers of all time. I've been listening to a lot of cumbia music, Playboy Cardi. There's this guy I love, Down to Earth, DWN2EARTH, all one word, that you should check out. Yeah, I mean, I could bore you with the amount of.
That'll do.
I could keep going.
But
of course, I've been listening to SOPHIE, DMX, and MF Doom. I was really sad about losing 3 of those artists back to back because I just thought they were so cool and unique.
SOPHIE's someone you're into. Is that your kind of music? That really
yes, I love SOPHIE. Is truly 21st century music. Like there's nothing like that. And the fact that she was creating this music that was never heard before. Like, what genre is that? Like, it's not a genre. Maybe you could say IDM and compare it to like Aphex Twin or Venetian Snares or Square Pusher or something, but it's not really the same thing.
Yeah.
And like to lose her to the fact that she was like on a rooftop in Athens looking at a moon during a loader, just having some spiritual experience and dying in this freak accident. It's just so tragic. It's so young but just so innovative musically. I really truly feel, I was like, that's 21st century music. There is nothing like that. And that is my highest compliment. When I hear Death Grips or Tyler the Creator, I go, that's 21st century music. I go, there has never been anything like that. They're not like mimicking something that they heard in the 80s or 90s or it's new. And it's like, that's so hard to do as a musician. So it's really tragic losing SOPHIE and MF Doom and DMX, like all in one.
I have a question about Frank Sinatra, specifically Frank Sinatra karaoke. There's a video of you doing some Frank Sinatra karaoke on Instagram. It says it was filmed at Mac's house. Is that Mac DeMarco? Or is this? Okay. Yeah. All right. So tell me about karaoke night at Mac's. Is that a regular thing or is this a one-off moment recently?
I think we were doing I'm buddies with his manager. I've known her for a long time. And she wanted to do a benefit for, it was either Planned Parenthood or ACLU. I think it was Planned Parenthood. So she was like, can you and Max sing some songs? We're doing like a virtual benefit show for Planned Parenthood. I was like, sure. And just coincidentally, Mac, I didn't even know this until after I recorded the song. Mac was recording all these Frank Sinatra songs that I came over and I was like, can I record a Frank Sinatra song? I'm a huge Frank Sinatra fan. So, yeah, we just blasted that off.
Okay, nice. So is Sinatra a karaoke go-to for you? Do you always work within the crooner space, or do you?
Not just the crooner space. I usually do. My go-to is Seal, Kiss from a Rose.
Okay.
Then Michael McDonald, What a Fool Believes. Then I can get into the crooner space, or I'll do Salt and Pepper or Whitney Houston.
Okay, nice. What do you think's been your most triumphant karaoke experience of all time? Does anything stick in the mind?
Well, I mean, we DMX karaoke at the end of Bad Trip on
of course.
just as white chicks on a
Indeed, I've seen it
on a stage, on a stage, and on an international stage as far as what the movies reach. So that was probably my most epic karaoke movie. I'm sorry, karaoke experience ever captured.
How long did the prosthetics and makeup take for that final scene?
So long. It was like 6 hours.
Whoa. Okay. And then how long were you in the makeup as well?
I'm probably only in the makeup for a few hours. Probably three hours.
Okay. What is your favorite conspiracy theory of all time?
Oh, there's so many good ones. That's a good question. There's one conspiracy theorist that says 9/11 never happened. Like the twin towers are still there. Not 9/11, and then not 9/11 was an inside job. Not 9/11 was mastermind by Dick Cheney putting bombs in the towers. This is a conspiracy that said 9/11 never happened, which is bold. The balls on the person that thinks that the Twin Towers of the 20th century are still standing are.
Yeah, I don't believe they are.
I don't believe they are. I mean, I know for a fact they are not. But that conspiracy theory was so bold and out there. I was just like, I shed a tear. I gave that conspiracy theorist a round of applause. I was like, you have guts standing by that one.
It's an extreme one. I heard that you showed an early cut of Bad Trip to Sacha Baron Cohen at his place in LA. Are you good mates with Sacha, and how did you meet?
Yes, we become buddies. He was doing a screening of his show, Who is America? He was doing like test screenings, and he DM'd me. He was doing these like private screenings because he wanted feedback. He was showing rough cuts. So basically, then as a true sweetheart mensch that he is, he returned the favor years later because I was like, I have a rough cut of my movie. It's kind of in a really rough shape. It's in shambles. We need help. And he was like, oh, come by the house. And so me and my director, my producer, we brought over a couple bottles of wine and traded stories. And then he watched the movie and he just gave us some really good feedback.
What kind of notes does Sacha Baron Cohen give? What was his feedback?
You know what's interesting? He didn't give a lot of prank. He was like, I'm not going to give you prank ideas. You guys know how to execute pranks. That's not you're in no trouble there. He had just like story. He's like the end of Act 2 and going into Act 3. This is really technical, but he just had really like precise story notes so that the way that our story arcs end are the most kind of satisfying versions of those stories. So he really approached it just kind of like a traditional screenwriter, writing like as if it was just a scripted, a more traditional movie.
What are the chances of a Bad Trip 2 or a similar format film happening, or is it far too much hard work to ever attempt?
No, I would love to. I mean, if it was up to me, it's a very, very high chance. But I feel good. I mean, the movie was a hit, so I feel like fingers crossed.
Makes sense. Have you ever stayed in touch with anybody you've pranked? Is it like an underrated way to make new friends?
I did not stay in touch really, and I don't know when this comes out because we have a video coming out. Well, I'll just spill the beans. We have a video coming out where we reach back out to some of the people we pranked and I interview them.
Oh,
I think it's dropping very soon. I don't know if I'm allowed to mention that, but it's dropping so soon that I don't think I'll get in that much trouble.
It will probably drop before this drops as well. So which people do you speak to? Is it the guy on the bench? Because I like the guy on the bench.
I love the guy on the bench. It wasn't the guy on the bench. It was the young, tall black guy with dreadlocks and the peace necklace that helped me and Rel when the car crashed and we were having our falling out.
He's good. Yep.
Yeah, that guy. We interviewed one of the women that was like the negotiator with the megaphone when Tiffany is holding me off the roof. We interviewed one of the women at the gorilla scene, the woman in the denim jacket during the gorilla scene that was like, Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. It was like strangling Rel. And we interviewed the nurse, the young white woman that came up and helped me when I fell off at the country bar and I started vomiting everywhere. We interview her as well. And they're really, really funny and sincere interviews.
There is a rumor going around that you're going to be in the new Jackass film. Can you confirm or deny said rumor?
I can neither confirm nor deny, but that's exciting that that's out there.
Would you like to be in the new Jackass film?
I would like to be.
Okay. So is there anything coming up for you that you can talk about, or is it just more Zoom interviews?
I honestly can't without getting in trouble with the marketing departments at each of these studios and networks. I wish I could. Off the record I'll spill the beans, but these companies are very, very particular about when they drop information, as I'm sure you're aware. So,
how about a return to any kind of stand-up stuff? Is that something that over the summer you'd like to just get out there and tell some people some jokes on stage, outdoors?
Not stand-up, but I would like to do the Eric Andre show live, which I've done for a few tours. I wanted to do a season 5 tour, and Corona shut that down. So I'd love to get out and tour. Yeah, I'm itching to travel.
How does the Eric Andre show live work? Is that a logistical nightmare? Is there lots going on? Because there's lots of kind of stunts and you end up in pain quite a lot of the time. How does that work in a live setting?
It's not easy. I mean, in a live setting, I do a live version of the day. Live is different medium than television, but I come out, I destroy the stage, I throw vegetables, various produce everywhere. I spray the audience with ranch. I go out and I mosh, come back. I do a monologue. I show videos. I interview guests like the local town celebrities and people from the audience. And I'll do like little musical numbers and little challenges for the audience. So it's basically like the same format of the show, but in a live medium. But it gets hectic. I remember one time, the season 4 tour kickoff happened in Vancouver, and I jumped off the stage to crowd surf, and this one kid put all 4 fingers up my butthole, and another kid started strangling me with my bow tie. These other kids started drawing and quartering my limbs in different directions. Another kid grabbed my penis and testicles as hard as he could. And then another kid grabbed a hot dog off the ground and shoved it into the back of my mouth as I was like gasping for my last breaths. And then I finally got out on the ground. As this kid was strangling me, I was like running back to the stage, continuing to asphyxiate from one of the kids. And I turned around and I like uppercutted him in the stomach to, spare my life out of self-defense. And he was like so honored that I punched him. He was like, "Oh yeah!" Like he thought it was like incredible. He was like flattered, and it was like my face was purple with lack of oxygen. So, and then I ran to the stage, and I remember being like, "Wow, the audience got way more violent between season 3 and season 4 tour."
Have you ever ended up in the emergency room because of anything you've done on stage or in a filming scene?
Yeah, I did a scene. I did a stunt with John Cena, season 5, and he threw me through a shelf, which was fine. He did the stunt properly, but my art department like built the frame of the shelf out of metal, and then the frame tipped over and clocked me in the back of the head, and I got a concussion. I got a big Fred Flintstone lump on the back of my head, so I had to go to the hospital and get a CAT scan and do all like the concussion tests and stuff like that. I also punched my hand through a window one time and got all these stitches in my hand. So,
well, that is all my questions done. Thank you so much, Eric.
Thank you. Appreciate it.